So welcome to Shut Up and Fish. I'm going to show you one of the cheapest setups that I have. What we got here is a $12 pole from Walmart. We have Cast King Silky 8X braid. It was 10 bucks. We have swivels, which are this style. They're ball bearing. They snap around. These are the number ones. They're good to 39 pounds. This here is 3/0, which will be good up to about 30 pounds. So what I did is went and got this for 12 bucks. This is $10. These were like 3 something for a pack of, I think it's 8. So I guess let's get started and I'll show you what I do. So clearly we're gonna snip all this stuff off. That's the start. Then we're gonna strip all this line off because it comes with 8-pound mono, but I don't know anybody that uses 8-pound mono if they don't want it to break. So I usually just set up a drill and rip it off. It takes a couple minutes. And the real problem is you have this mono that's been sitting on there for months, and you see it's all turned into a curlicue. All right, we're stripped down enough. So what you want is just a little backing. You don't want it really any more than that. And you see how it just sits there and it tries to unravel? That's why we don't use mono anymore. It's not worth it. It just ends up all screwed up. Look at this. You're never gonna stop this curlicue. Cut that. Does it again. There's nothing you can do about it. So take yourself some line. Put something on it so then it doesn't keep on doing itself. What you want to do is put it through the bail. Give it some tension so it stops undoing itself. Okay, so now it's through the bail. Now you don't have to worry about it doing itself a million times. So then what you want to do is you have your mono here. So now you want it to be the backing, so you have to tie one to the other. It's pretty straightforward. Put something on top of it. What you can do, which if you're new to fishing and don't know this, you take mono and you run your hand along it. And it will usually remove the curlicue. You see? See how it straightens out? So now it's not all flippy floppy all over your desk. So then we take our new stuff, which I always use Cast King. The 8X stuff is wonderful. I haven't really had it break or fray. I don't really do a lot of rock fishing though, so off the jetty it might not be the best. That may be where you want mono. But for the cost, this is 500 yards. I think it was $25, $24, something like that. 500 yards on these little things. It's gonna last you forever because you can only load these up so much. Now, because it doesn't have to go through guides, I don't really go crazy about this knot. Just take it. You got 2 together. You just circle it in on itself. So you do 1, 2, 3, 3 if we can get there. And 4 for good luck, because that was an unlucky loop. I don't care what anybody says. And that's it. So 8 to a 10, that's all you need. It's only backing. Once you get down to this, you're gonna redo it anyways. If you ever get this low, because it's gonna be, I'm not sure, I think it's around 150 yards. And that's that. So now, you already have this all set. Put this on the ground somewhere. Now, what I do is I always take water, because these are made out of plastic. And plastic will still have a small amount of memory. So I want it to wet down at least a little bit, because otherwise you'll burn your fingers. So I use the sponge. And the sponge lets it slide through with very little resistance, but enough that you're actually putting tension on the line. And you're not ruining your fingers, like so. Do that at least once a month on braid, because I can't seem to keep my fingers out of their way. So you take a little hot water, get it soaked. And then you come over here, and you're gonna start putting line on. This is the pretty straightforward part. For the cost, what is it, 20 bucks? Just keep some resistance with the sponge. Put the line through it. It's pretty straightforward. Now, we're getting close to where we're gonna wanna stop. Because if you put too much on, you'll end up with a bunch of wooden knots. And nobody wants that. Now, with Shut Up and Fish here, I'm gonna be mostly doing action shots and actually fishing. This, I'm just showing you one of my setups that's dirt cheap, because I needed a new one, because I broke the other one. I had 20-pound test on it. I had something, and it snapped right in half. We're pretty close to the edge here. What you want to do is you look, and you want to give yourself a little bit of lip, because if you don't, the edge here, if you're too close, it will unravel itself, and then you'll end up with a wind knot on the next one. So if you have too much on, which I've done a million times, then you will end up with a whole bunch of problems. So since this doesn't have memory, what we'll do is cut it. And it will lay there. That's it. Wrap the rest of this up. Yeah, so like I was saying, Shut Up and Fish is going to be more in the aspect of me shutting up and fishing, because this part, I'm not very good at explaining everything. I can do it if you're in front of me, but this is harder than people think. So the next part is we're going to line the entire rod, which put it together. Once your rod is lined up, I always take a marker and I mark it, because once it's straight, you don't want to be in the field trying to fight and get it straight again. Like, where's the fun in that? If the mark comes off, reline it, but you don't want to be doing that. Because if it comes loose, you don't want to be doing that in the middle of the water. Like, who wants to do that? So now you're lined up. That's it. I don't get why poles don't come lined up or markings. It just doesn't make any sense. But I guess the extra 2 cents to put a marking on it, you know, they just can't do that for us fishermen. So release the bail, put your line through. So like I was saying before, my 20-pound setup, I kept getting wind knots on it, and that's because the weight that I was using was too little for the 20-pound line that I had on it. If you put 20-pound line on this, it will barely go through the guides. It would sit here and it would bunched up into a wind knot like 10 times. I don't even know how it happened. And then I just realized, forget it. Because I was using 20-pound with, I think this is a 7. Yep. This is a 7 slip weight. I went up to a 20. Haven't had a wind knot since. So I'll kind of show you the concept of that, because these are stoppers. Now what I do is I put a stopper on, put the weight on, put another stopper on, and then I move the stopper all the way up to the top. Then I will tie on, which I'm going to do right now. I'll tie on a swivel. And this swivel, I'm going to use what is called a fish and fool knot. Put it through once. Come around. Put it through again. Now the challenge of this one is, if you look at it, the loops need to be one on top of the other. But with it being so small, you can barely see it. But this one's right. If you look, I don't even know if it'll zoom in on it. So you have to have one on top of the other, because otherwise they will curl into each other. And that's when the knot goes from good to bad. So then you take this tag end and you loop it around 6 times. You line the 2 up. Then you take it, you have the 2 together. So now you have 2 together. And you loop it around itself. This is a fish and fool knot. I think people have called it like a improved uni knot or something. It's really weird, but it has a line test rating of like 98% to like 105%. Some kid did it on YouTube. I think his name's Bryant, something like that. If I find the link, I'll put it in the bio. But for all the knots that are out there, they end up slipping on braid. So this you want to loop around 6 times. I got 3. Come on, baby. 3, 4, 5. So if you look, it is now wrapped around itself. Lube it, pull it tight. And when you pull this tight, that's your knot. This down here is where it will screw up. You pull on the line and you will see the knot come down the line. And at the same time, you need to make sure that this isn't screwed up here. So you unravel it. And you can see that it's correct. Just keep pulling. These barrel swivels usually undo them themselves. And then that's it. Pull on them both. Now you can go even smaller with a swivel. You can go to a 0. But these are good for 39 pounds, and I've bent them closed. So this swivel will actually pull down along its own, I don't even know what to call that. Pull along itself, and it closes down into a little circle. And that's, I guess, the 39-pound rating, because it won't come apart the long way. Because when you push down on it, it doesn't come apart. It doesn't come apart like this. It comes apart, or it crushes in on itself. So this end ends up down here. And then it's like a little circle. And yeah, I've yanked on these things. You would swear it was like 100 pounds, and it still doesn't break. But that's it for this setup. Close your bail. Throw the swivel out onto the floor. And that's it. I put it around one of the guides, but I've been told you're not a professional if you do that. Well, I'm not a professional, so it doesn't matter to me. So I'll show you what I was doing with the slip knots, or the slip weights. You put a bobber here, or a bob stop, which is like a slip weight stop. You put one on the end here, which just slips on, and then you would slide it up. Then you put the weight on, and then you put the next bobber stop on. But what I do is I take those all the way up here, I put this on, put the swivel on. Then, when I know where the stop is gonna be, because you don't want the stop all the way over here, and you don't want it to, like, you just kind of want it 4 to 6 inches. You only need to go so far before they're hooked, because the hook itself, I'm not setting this hook. This hook is a circle hook, so it sets itself. So when the weight is down and there's extra, they will start pulling and the line will go through it. And then it stops. And then as they're still pulling, now they're pulling against the weight and the line. And then the circle hook does its magic. So what I do with the one that I want at the end, because no matter what size you get, if you get the right size, they seem to always slip. So I tie a knot, almost like the one at the beginning, where you double it inside of itself. And I'm going to show you how to do that with a leader here in a second. So to make a leader, this is what we do for a leader. This is just 15-pound mono. Guess I could have used the 8-pound mono that I just stripped off, but that's not enough. I want something with some strength to it, because if this gets ground into rocks, then that's a different story. The 8 would be done. This is double the strength, or almost double the strength. So you take about 12 inches. You come in, you do like 3 or 4 loops. You loop it on itself and tighten it. So now, cut the tag on. So this would go on your swivel. So So the reason that I'm using 10 pound without a weight is because I'm already using weighted lures. So if you put a lure on a weighted lure, it doesn't work. It's also going to be used for mini whopper ploppers. And the whopper ploppers, if you put a weight on the front of them, they just sink. And then they don't whopper plop, or they don't plop around like they're supposed to. So then the next one that you do is you just do an improved clinch knot, because that seems to work on mono, which it does not work on braid. It will actually slip on braid. So the improved clinch knot, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Put the tag end through the hole. Put it back through the original. Lube it. Bring it down. And that is one simple 15-pound leader. I don't even know what the length is. 16 inches probably. So that's my setup for dirt cheap. I mean, this is so old, but if you keep it out of the sun, mono lasts forever. It's plastic, it don't matter. And then I think it was like $8 when I bought it, maybe. It's 500 yards of the stuff. I've had it for 8 years, and it's still only like a quarter of the way. And then these little guys, these you just get in the Walmart section, size 4, which is bigger than the 8. These are for croakers and stuff. I catch croakers to use as bait. So that was just a simple explanation of the things that I do or what I have for a lightweight setup that just throws like 1/4 ounce weighted lures. Other than that, I had to clean up my mess. But thanks for clicking. Subscribe if you want. My other videos are going to be a little less in depth, and they'll be a little less chopped up due to editing. But this I just wanted to show you real quick, the hands-on part and how cheap it is. So, like I said, line, $25, $24. You got a line for probably 5 years if you don't just keep breaking it. These were probably like $3 a piece. Swivels, you have 30 of them. That's $10 for that. And that's a size 1. And then the 3/0, these were $3.18. I was just at Walmart today. I think I saw them for $3.18. So either way, I'm trying to do this with a body cam mount and an iPhone, and this is not working out as well as I thought. So either way, that's that. Thank you for checking out Shut Up and Fish. These videos will get better. Please leave comments on what I can do to make this better. Constructive criticism will always help me. Otherwise, you're going to see me fishing because that's what I'd rather be doing. But take care, you guys. Subscribe if you'd like.